All right, third time's a charm. Welcome on another episode of Vital DocTalk. And on today's episode, we will be interviewing Dr. Joanna. Dr. Joanna, welcome to the show.
Hi, Vlad. So glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. It's a pleasure, honored to interview you. So why don't we go into the background story? So tell us about how you started and how you got here today.
Sure. I am a plastic and reconstructive surgeon in Los Angeles, California. I'm sure everyone has the same story. They always wanted to be a doctor ever since they were a kid. And I just really loved plastic surgery. I loved how you could transform people's lives. Fast forward 15 years later, did all my training. On the East Coast, I did undergrad in Boston, Miami for med school because Boston was way too cold. And then I came back to Los Angeles for my plastic surgery training. I actually met my husband there as intern in surgery. And I've been in private practice in West Hollywood for 3 years now and loving it.
That's fantastic. And where do you envision the future? Are you going to write a book? Are you going to expand your practice into a million facilities, take it over the world? What is your vision?
My vision, I really love skincare. And with this whole COVID, I actually have been meaning to, but it actually gave me the time to develop my e-commerce store and provide skincare, medical grade skincare to all of my clients that way. I actually also started developing a natural and organic skincare line, which we'll be launching soon. And so ultimately, I'd like to have my skincare products everywhere and everyone to enjoy great skin at home.
That's fantastic. I love that. And I think that, a lot of doctors are more interested probably also in how you have developed your skincare line, et cetera. So we'll probably be getting into that a little bit later in the interview. But for now, let's ask the next favorite question of mine, which is how did you grow your practice? I'm sure when you started out, you thought that, hey, clients will come through the doctor's office and just line up. Probably not how it went. What did you learn early on, and what are you focused on today?
I was a little apprehensive. I mean, going out into private practice,
No worries.
Private practice, Los Angeles, plastic surgery, there's a lot of competition out there, but I firmly believe if you are a good doctor and you do it for all the right reasons and it's never money and you want to take care of people, that comes across very well. And basically just taking good care of patients, offering the best treatments that they need. And other doctors at hospitals also see this, and it just takes time. You have to build your reputation. And in the beginning, I used to hate it, but Yelp was used for restaurants, and I used to be like, I am not a restaurant. I don't want to be rated on this restaurant app. But surprisingly, a lot of patients come from there because it's the only window into other patients' experiences. So it is very valuable, and people who don't know you can get a greater sense of who you are as a person. So early on, if you're starting off, you can ask for the Yelp review from your very satisfied patients. Depends on what specialty you're in, I guess. But I found that really helpful to build my practice.
Very cool. And so tell us more about Yelp, right? Because obviously it gets it's a love-hate platform, yes. Right? They say that if you don't pay them, they will just basically blacklist you as the worst person ever on the planet. But then on the flip side, I know it can be helpful. So have you gotten reviews? Did you ask your patients to do that? Did it just happen naturally? Did you pay them?
It was a combination of both. Some people naturally just went ahead and did it. And then if I knew someone was very satisfied with their outcome, then I would ask them for one. I actually didn't give in to the mafia of Yelp. And
yeah, right.
I would just have my profile there. I claimed it. It's just there. And they can do whatever they want with it. But it's just a resource for patients.
Yeah, no, for sure. But that's fantastic that it worked. Have you tried Google reviews or any other platforms?
Yes, I also do Google reviews. those are the top two. And then there's one for plastic surgery called Real Self, which I feel like is very specific, and they tried to become the Yelp, but I don't think they're quite there yet.
Yeah, but that's really cool though that you actually do have that advice for people, because a lot of times when I start with a new client, etc., they won't have any Yelp reviews. They won't really think about Yelp or Google, and that's just some really simple things we do for them and that they can do themselves even, that can really start getting more people in the door just like on a basic level. And quick tip for you guys, actually, if you have a Google reviews account, for example, if I'm a New York dentist and I just, type in Vlad, like if my name on the Google account is Vlad's Dentistry, right? That's going to be okay. But if I put in Vlad's Dentistry and I'm in New York or I'm in Brooklyn, I type in Vlad's Dentistry Brooklyn, that'll actually help your Google Maps profile. So that's a quick little tip for the listeners out there. But let's go back to you, Dr. Joanna. You're the famous guest of the day. So the skincare line, a lot of doctors, right, that they've been around. I think you've been around for multiple years now, right? Like, and then your husband's also a doctor, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So there are obviously going to be veteran doctors listening to this, and some of them I think are going to be getting pretty full, or they already have a practice. When did you come into this mindset of scaling with like your own skincare line or e-commerce company, et cetera? How did that come about, and how's the journey been there?
I mean, I think I've always liked the idea of just like sharing my knowledge with my patients, and like, and I don't want them just to like come into the office, get their Botox and leave, and then maybe come back in 3 months or maybe not. I want them to have lasting results and actually like listen to the tips that I give them. I give more holistic advice. They talk about skincare. It's not just use this product, get that injection. It's what are you eating? How much sun are you getting? Are you sleeping? Are you exercising? How stressed out are you? Are you wearing a mask all the time and not cleaning your mask with this whole COVID thing? So I make sure I look at the whole person, and I want to help them in every avenue of their life. And so skincare, I feel like it's just a great transition. If someone wants great skin, you want to go to the gym every day, not just go and run a 5K out of the blue and get some laser or something crazy like that. And that's my analogy. And so I think that's the best way I can serve my patients, by being there. And it doesn't have to be skincare. If you're like a different specialty, it could be whatever you're passionate about, like communicating to your patients about their health, whether it be checking in with them on weight loss, or I don't know what your other
100%. That's a great point, because most of the time when I think about going to doctors, right, I'm probably one of the few people who actually goes to my dentist 4 times a year. And most of the time it's twice a year, right? And I was like, oh, if I just do it 4 times, then it's going to help me more. But a lot of times people don't regularly, like, they'll only go to doctors in like emergency surgery, whatever, et cetera, scenarios. There's not a lot of maintenance. So if, whoever's listening out there, whatever the maintenance product is, right, that should prevent you from, doing the crazy extremes, that's probably a good potential product or service to get into. I like that. And then what did it take to, like, what are kind of the steps that you've taken so far to start the skincare line? Do you have to call factories or, Alibaba, or how's that been going?
Well, I started reading a book, and basically there's a lot of talk about all the different chemicals that can cause lasting bad effects in our skin, not only in our skin, but in the environment. And if you think about it, the skin is the largest organ of the body. I started reading this book and learning about actually natural oils and seed oils. If you think about it, they're the reproductive organ of plants. And plants, they don't have doctors. If they get an infection or a fungal infection or something horrible happens to them, they have to heal themselves. So plants are actually pretty magical in that sense, and have great healing properties. And I used to be like, oh my God, holistic, naturopathic things are definitely not like very good, because it's science versus them. And if you think about it, that's the wrong approach, because the current day products and medicines came from plants that were discovered a long time ago. So I had to reconcile this back in my mind, that it actually works all together. And so I've been doing a lot of research about all the different plants and oils and how they affect you based on where they are growing, and different acid properties in their oils and seeds. So a lot of it was on myself, and I like to experiment on myself. And my baby actually has eczema, severe eczema, and it all began with trying to get her some topical creams and emollients that actually help her skin, because her skin was so sensitive that almost every single product that I put on her caused a reaction. So that was
Wow. Well, that's a great, that's a fantastic story for inspiration there. You could probably put that in like the little package. People would buy it up. So that's good. That's, it's tough to hear too. Okay, cool. So I think that it is vital, right, to diversify after you've hit that base of patients, et cetera, especially scaling, right? That can be very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
How long did it take for you to get to this point where you're like, okay, now I'm ready to get to this next level and start doing another product or service? When would you advise doctors to consider diversifying?
I mean, I think basically we need to see a very comprehensive plan from the beginning. In the beginning, I know it's super stressful because you just like graduated, you have all these loans, and you just need to pay the rent. And yes, that's all very important, but the sooner you can see your overall mission and pathway, the sooner you can implement the steps to make it happen. Even if you say, okay, I want to make an e-commerce storefront in 2 years, at least it's on the calendar, and every
Mm-hmm.
month you're taking steps to make it happen. For me, I took COVID actually to kind of make me work on that a little bit more, because there was the pause. I wasn't going and seeing all the patients day in and day out. And I had a little bit more quiet time to actually sit down and plan out everything I'm doing.
I appreciate that, right? So what I've learned is basically look at the problem holistically, not just at one leverage point, like, oh, I'm a plastic surgeon, we do plastic surgery, but let's look at every leverage point, maybe even financial point too. I wouldn't be surprised if you've got your book coming out or something, about skincare. And then that should be the end goal of mine, is to solve the problem at every level so you can just elevate the whole field. And I really like that mindset. And I'm personally going to take that, to heart actually during this interview and as a lesson. And so speaking of COVID, how has that impacted your practice? What challenges have you faced? How have you seen doctors respond positively? And, what are your tips there?
Well, COVID actually was a blessing. I think for everyone, there's like two ways to look at every situation. And being doctors, we're so busy and we're so used to just going all the time. It was actually nice to have a pause and have time to look at where I'm actually going and my goals and how I'm going to achieve them. It helped me set up my e-commerce store, have time for that, work on the skincare line. But also, as a plastic surgeon, it reminded me that I am a plastic and reconstructive surgeon, and that I have maintained my reconstructive skill set and continue to see reconstructive patients. So even though I was not seeing cosmetic patients in the office, I was still seeing my reconstructive patients, maintaining my referrals from the surrounding hospitals, and so that side was fine. So I think just making sure that you're still well-rounded as a doctor and able to service all different kinds of demographics, that makes you more fluid. I've always kept my overhead very low, and so with COVID, the decrease in income didn't affect me that much. I think that's important, because just because you can spend X number of dollars on something doesn't mean you should, and make sure you get value out of every dollar that you're spending.
Yeah, 100% agree. Do you have you ever invested in any like marketing services, anything? Because from my personal perspective, whenever I talk to, doctors, or really when we start out, when we're just generic business owners that just start out, we don't talk about ROI, return on investment, a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and how much money are you getting per dollar? Like, what is the return there on your investment? A lot of people don't look at that. Do you have a system for looking at that, or is it because you've been so lean that now you're able to analyze things a lot easier because there's not, big investments made everywhere?
Yes, I haven't formally invested in a marketing service, but I've always known my numbers just because I'm so lean and I can keep track of everything. And also with COVID, I also spent more time watching other podcasts and webinars just on how to make sure everything is running smoothly and effectively and efficiently. So not formally, but yes, I have done my own side research on it. Did that answer the question?
Yeah, no, it does. And then what methodologies have you used anything to keep track of your marketing channels? Or have you found any like marketing specifically work better than others? Has Yelp really been the leader for you?
Sure. I like to, every single person that calls, we ask them how they heard about our office, and we note that and we can run that data.
That's awesome.
But also with ads that I run, I make sure that I either run them sequentially instead of at the same time, so that I know which ads are effective. And just for my practice, my demographic, I find Instagram to be the most effective. Facebook didn't yield anything. Google, people made appointments, but they were very low quality patients, but that might just be my demographic. And it varies depending on your location, specialty.
That's awesome. So what kind of Instagram ads did you run? Did you just do like ads through stories, or do you have a big account?
I don't have a huge account. I mean, it's all organic. I didn't pay for the billion followers or anything like that. But they're all like really good people. And I do stories. Most of it, I think it's because it's a personal connection. My Instagram is professional, but it also has like my family, my husband, my baby on there. And they see her growing up and they just connect with me as a person. And I think that's what people want to see. Like whenever it's more ad related or salesy, it doesn't do too well, and that's not what people are there for. So it's more just to connect with people, and then it doesn't really matter what I'm saying. Most of it is not even plastic surgery related, and people like to go through Instagram to see.
Yeah, we've had some doctors come on the show that really said that Instagram has been a great platform for them and growing their practice, and they do like stories every single day, etc. So I think it's definitely a great channel. When you were just starting out, how did you get your like first couple of clients? Was it through networking groups, etc.? What would be your tips there to get like the initial clientele before you build up the reputation?
It's not when you first start. It all starts well before you're finishing in training. So I started the Instagram like the year before.
I like that.
I told everyone that what I was doing. I'm going to be in LA. I'm here. Tell your friends. This is what I like to do. And just meeting people, going to hospitals, every service that I operated with, made sure I told them what else I did as well. Just being available and being a nice person. I think that's really important.
I think it is, especially for relationship building over time and making great impressions on people. I think that is true. Now, if a doctor out there listening had to take one, takeaway, or if you give them one tip out there, where should they start? What should they be doing?
This is a little alluding to a guest you may have in the future, but make sure your financial health is in order. The white coat investor, he has great tips on there, and my husband listened to the podcast and reformatted our finances, so that's really great. And on top of that all, it's really important just to be organized. We are smart people, we're accomplished. We just have to be organized about our entire lives and take control of our financial future, whether it's building a practice, building your client base. You can take a targeted, orderly approach and see what works and what doesn't work.
I 100% agree with that, right? Like keeping track of your numbers, especially if you're going to spend money on ads or marketing, it's very important to see what the return on your investment is there, guys. So, you can start with just like a little budget or whatever, just like start with one data point and then extrapolate. I think that people are going to get miles ahead of all the competition if they just do that. So awesome. So you made it through. Dr. Joanna, plug it up. Tell us what website should we be checking out? How can we contact you? let us know where to find you.
Thanks for having me. My website's Joanna Nguyen, JoannaNguyenMD.com. And I am also on Instagram, Dr. Joanna, JoANNA, Nguyen, Nguyen. And feel free to email me through the website or Instagram if you have any questions.
Awesome. Thank you guys. And that was another episode of Vital DocTalk. I'll see you next time.